Hey everyone, welcome back to Movie Matrix. Today we've got something exciting, thrilling, mind-blowing lined up for you. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right in. The film opens at a bustling construction site where Levon Cade oversees a team of workers. He gathers them, offering words of encouragement. Work hard today, and the rewards will follow. As the workers begin their tasks, Levon heads toward the office, where we meet his boss, Joe Garcia. The two share a strong rapport. The Garcia family runs the construction business, including Joe's daughter, Jenny. While organizing workers' salaries, Levon notices a suspicious car idling outside. He steps out and sees a group of thugs assaulting one of his men. He approaches calmly, instructing them to leave. They mock him and continue the beating. Without hesitation, Levon grabs a nearby bucket and charges in. He fights with lethal efficiency, taking down the attackers. More thugs arrive, but Levon grabs a gun, using one of them as leverage to force the others to back off. They retreat, leaving their wounded behind. The worker, still in shock, asks how Levon fought like that, but Levon brushes it off, telling him to get back to work. Jenny arrives moments later, having witnessed everything. She remarks on Levon's combat skills. He fought like a soldier. She assures him she won't tell anyone. She hands him some food and asks him to look out for her. He promises. That evening, Levon visits his daughter, Mary, who lives with her grandfather, Roth. Since Levon's wife passed, Roth has harbored resentment, blaming Levon for her death. He calls Levon unfit, accusing him of failing to protect his family. Levon, though hurt, doesn't argue. Later, he meets with his lawyers, explaining that his wife took her own life while they were stationed overseas. His lawyers warn him that Roth has the means to keep him away from Mary through legal battles. Levon, however, is prepared to fight. Meanwhile, Jenny and her friends are at a nightclub. Unbeknownst to them, a criminal duo, Viper and Artemis, are watching, searching for a target to deliver to their client. As the night winds down, Jenny helps her intoxicated friend to the restroom. Seizing the opportunity, Viper and Artemis. On Monday morning at the construction site, Levon meets Jenny's parents, Joe and Carla. They inform him that Jenny has been missing since Friday night, and they don't want help from police. Joe knows Levon is a former Green Beret and skilled at tracking criminals, and offer him money to help them finding Jenny. But Levon insists that part of his life is over, and leaves from there. Later, he visits his old friend, Gunny Lefferty, a former soldier who was blinded during a mission. The both talks about their soldier life, and Gunny thanks him for saving his life during the mission. Levon then tells him about Jenny's disappearance, saying she was the good baby for him. After that, he goes to the Garcia home to see Joe again, telling him that they are his family, and he is ready to help them, finding Jenny. He comforts crying Joe and sets out to find Jenny. Levon starts searching for Jenny by checking the club she visited. There, he tracks down a thug named Johnny, a bartender connected to the criminals. Levon breaks into Johnny's apartment. Firstly, Levon speaks politely, asking him about Jenny. But when Johnny refuses to say anything, Levon tortures him with waterboarding to get information. Soon, two of Johnny's friends arrive and hear him calling for help. As they open fire, Levon uses Johnny as a human shield before killing both attackers. He checks Thug's tattoos, which is unclear, but Levon know it better. He then takes the money from the scene. The next day, the bodies are discovered by Wolo Kolesnik, a high-ranking Bratva captain, who begins to suspect that someone is going after their organization. Levon watches from outside as Wolo and his men inspect the bodies. When Wolo gets into his car, Levon follows him to his house. After Wolo goes inside, Levon uses a high-tech camera to see what's happening inside. He witnesses Wolo striking his wife in the face. After she leaves, Levon sneaks in, knocks Wolo out, and ties him to a chair suspended over a pool. He warns Wolo to stay quiet, or he'll cut the rope. Levon then interrogates him about Jenny's whereabouts. Wolo curses in Russian language, mentioning someone named Dimi, and blaming them for the trouble. Levon cuts the rope, letting Wolo drown. Later, Wolo's body is discovered by his brother, Simon Karchenko, the leader of the organization. Enraged, Simon orders his sons, Dona and Vanko, to hunt down the person who is responsible for Wolo's death. To track down Dimi, Levon meets with a local drug lord named Dutch, pretending to be a dealer looking to sell his product. Dutch brings out his men to handle Levon, but Levon easily takes them down before getting back to business with Dutch. Dutch quickly realizes that Levon is a former soldier like him, and they develop a mutual respect. He then gives Levon instructions to meet with Artemis and her associate, Dougie, to start their so-called business. Dutch directs Levon to Artemis and her associate, Dougie, to set up their so-called business. Meanwhile, Artemis and Viper deliver Jenny to their client, Broward. As he attempts to assault her while she's unconscious, she suddenly wakes up and bites a chunk out of his cheek. Furious and in agony, Broward cancels the deal and storms out. At the same time, Levon meets with Artemis and Dougie. He hands them cash in exchange for a cell phone, with instructions to wait for Dutch's call. Later, Dutch calls and provides Demi's location. Posing as a dealer, Levon approaches Demi's biker bar. However, Artemis spots him on the security feed and immediately orders her men to intercept him. Realizing he's been made, Levon steals a motorcycle and speeds into the woods. A hail of bullets follows him, but he narrowly evades them. Just as he's about to escape, he crashes into a police cruiser. The officers step out, knock him unconscious, and before long, Dona and Vanko arrive, bribing the cops to hand him over. The brothers drag Levon into their van, preparing to torture him for their uncle's death. But Levon fights back, chaos erupting inside the moving vehicle. In the struggle, a gun accidentally discharges, killing the driver instantly. The van spirals out of control, nearly careening into a river. Seizing the moment, Levon brutally kills both brothers before escaping and pushing the van into the water. Later, Simon stands over his sons' bodies in the morgue. The sight ignites a burning fury within him. This war with Levon has now become personal. At home, Roth is practicing yoga when an enforcer arrives, having uncovered Levon's true identity. Meanwhile, Levon senses something is off when Roth doesn't show up to pick up Mary from school. Alarmed, he rushes to get her and heads home, only to find the house engulfed in flames. Racing inside, Levon finds Roth bound and barely conscious on the floor. He frees him just as firefighters and medics arrive. Enraged, Roth blames Levon for dragging danger into their lives, but Mary defends him, reminding Roth that Levon just saved his life. To keep Mary safe, Levon takes her to stay with Gunny and his wife. Back at the bar, Dimi orders Artemis and Viper to kill Jenny, blaming her for ruining the deal with Broward. They shove her into a car and drive into the woods to dispose of her. But Jenny fights back, kicking them from the back seat and causing the car to crash into the trees. Seizing the opportunity, she bolts into the jungle with Artemis and Viper in pursuit. Ginny manages to cut her hands and feet free, allowing her to run faster. Desperate, she spots a police car and pleads for help, unaware that the officers are working with the traffickers. Instead of saving her, they take her back to the criminal compound. Inside, Artemis and Viper prepare to finish her off, but Broward calls just in time. He decides to give Ginny a second chance. This time, he wants her fully conscious. Meanwhile, Gunny arms Levon with everything he needs for the fight ahead. Leaving his daughter in Gunny's care, Levon sets out for the final showdown. He tracks down Dimi, forcing him at gunpoint to reveal Ginny's location. Dimi reluctantly leads Levon to the compound but tries justifying his crimes, claiming that if he weren't doing it, someone else would. Levon's response is swift. He kicks Dimi into a creek and shoots him dead before entering the compound. Inside, Artemis and Viper bring Ginny to Broward, who prepares to assault her. Before he can, a grenade explodes, shaking the entire compound. Levon has arrived. He storms in, eliminating Bratva goons one by one. Just then, Dutch and his biker gang arrive to stop him. After taking down the bikers, Levon faces off against Dutch in a brutal knife fight. Though wounded, Levon ultimately kills Dutch, but acknowledges his fallen opponent with respect before moving on. Hearing Ginny's screams, Levon tracks her to a locked room. He bursts in, killing Broward instantly. Viper charges at him, but Levon counters violently, snapping his neck with a brutal elbow strike. Meanwhile, Ginny fights back, wrapping her legs around Artemis's neck and choking her until it snaps. With Ginny finally free, they rush outside, only to find Carp and two remaining goons waiting. The two corrupt cops arrive as well, but Carp mistakes them for actual law enforcement and guns them down before blowing up their cruiser. Chaos erupts as gunfire rains down on Levon and Ginny, but they manage to take cover. Levon hurls a grenade, taking out Carp in a fiery explosion. Seizing the moment, he grabs a bike from one of the fallen goons, and he and Ginny escape into the night. Watching from the shadows, Simon calls his brother Yuri, demanding help to eliminate Levon. But Yuri coldly refuses, stating that the devil has already taken his due, and that no one in the organization will support Simon's quest for revenge. Enraged, Simon vows to go after Levon himself, screaming into the night. Meanwhile, Levon takes Ginny home, where she has an emotional reunion with her family. Joe and Carla break down in tears, overwhelmed with gratitude for the man who saved their daughter. In the final scene, Levon visits Gunny's home to see Mary again. As they sit down for breakfast, Gunny looks at him and says, "You're home now." And with that, the story ends. And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.